Fourth graders, we have been talking about creating value by making tints and shades with our paint. A tint is the lightest color, or a color with white, and a shade is the darkest color, or a color with black. You made value scales to show a value of different colors too. So I have tints all the way to shades. Today what you're going to be working on is using what you know about tints and shades to paint a dog inspired by Rodrigo's blue dog. I painted my dog purple, but notice how I used the lightest color of purple all the way to the darkest color of purple to paint my dog in. I just used one color. So today what you're going to be doing is sketching out your dog and choosing one color to paint them in. Now there's lots of different ways that you can draw a dog. This is just one way, and this way is how Mr. Rodrigo draws his dogs. What I would like you to first do is write your name and class code on the back. Maybe do it small and in the corner so that if you make a mistake, you still have the back side to use. So Miss G and your class code. I'm going to flip it over. And on our how to draw sheets today, there is a dotted line or a dashed line dividing the paper up in half, going vertically and horizontally. Those sheets are for you to look at today, because you're asking 3 before you ask me how to draw something. I drew those dividing lines nice and light so that I can kind of get the shapes where they belong. The next step on my drawing sheet is drawing the dog's head. When I am sketching something out, I draw light until I get it right, and I draw lots of little sketchy lines. I barely ever erase when I'm drawing something that I'm going to paint. Okay. Next is for the dog's muzzle. Dogs have those muzzles, the part that pushes out from their face. So their muzzle is a little bit tricky to draw because it's 3D. So just looking at the idea sheet or the how to draw sheet, I'm learning how to draw a dog's muzzle so that it looks 3D. Eyes are coming in the top. Now once again, artists, this is just one way how to draw your dog. If you know how to draw dogs another way, of course you can draw it that way. That's something that artists do a lot, is they'll take the directions and then they'll make them their own. So once you kind of know how to do this, draw a dog out, then you can kind of make up how your own dog will look. I'm going to sketch out my dog nice and light. Right here, I'm to the end. I feel like my dog needs a tail, so I'm going to add a tail and in the background. Now that my dog is mostly sketched out, I'm ready to paint. And I'm only painting with one color today, and I think I'm going to stick with purple. I'm kind of getting used to doing value scales with purple. You are sharing a mixing tray with your neighbor where you can mix your tints and shades. Remember, when I am pulling out some paint, I'm using my paintbrush. And I'm scooping out a little bit of paint with my brush, and I'm twirling it off on my tray, okay? Cleaning off my brush, I'll get a little bit of white. When I paint, I usually like to paint lightest to darkest, okay? But that's up to you, okay? What colors are your dogs gonna be? I think my dog is going to be that medium color for most of his body. So I'm going to start by painting purple almost everywhere except for his muzzle and his back legs. So I want to show a little bit of value in that area. My paintbrush, even though it's got paint on it, it still leaves lines of where my paintbrush went. So I need to make sure that my lines that I'm creating with my paintbrush are still helping to show the story of what my dog's shape is. Okay, so I'm kind of following those lines. I'm thinking about what they're telling my viewer who's looking at it. And I'm trying to make my dog look round. So see how my paintbrush follows that round line there? Same thing for the paw. I made the paintbrush lines be round. That's going to help your dog feel a little bit more realistic. okay? I'm to the part where I'm going to paint in my dog's legs. I'm going to make a shade of purple. The dog's legs are kind of farther away. They might be in the shadows a little bit. So just a little bit of black. We know from mixing that black is a really strong color. I only need a little bit of it. So I put a little bit of black out, mix a little bit of purple. If I need more black, which it looks like I do need just a little bit more, I can add that to that one little spot. And fourth graders, let me tell you a little secret. Sometimes when I'm mixing colors, I do wet on wet technique, just like what you do with watercolors. And I do that to mix my colors as well. Sometimes I'll mix on my paint tray, sometimes I'll mix right on my paper. So if I know that I need just a little bit more black in this one spot, I might just add a little bit more black to my brush and mix right on that spot. That can help you mix two colors together quickly. Okay? I am ready for my dog's head or his tail. Washing out my brush so that it doesn't have any black in it from before. Now, fourth graders, if you're having a little bit of trouble with this is a challenge for you. You can look at the idea sheet. You can look at the board. The board will have how to draws as well and some examples of Mr. Rodrigo's dogs. You could also ask your neighbor. Those are your Ask 3 Before Me tools that you are using. If you are still having trouble and you're still kind of worried about it, then please raise your hand and I can come and help you. I'm not going to be on coffee break. I can help you, but I want you to be a problem solver. All right, I'm to that muzzle, and I'm going to make my muzzle the lightest color, my tint of purple. So I'm going to mix just a little bit of purple with my white there, a really little bit. And if it's too light, I can always add more purple. I kind of like how that looks. Whoopsie, got too dark. I'm going to need some more white. You might also notice how my pencil lines are coming through. When I'm drawing or painting over pencil lines, that's why it's really important to draw light until you get it right, so that if you have a bunch of those pencil lines, they can be covered up with your paint. There's his nose. I think his eyes are almost going to be straight black. They're going to be my darkest shade of purple. And I might even go back in and add in those lines for his muzzle. Maybe even some lines to show where his head starts and stops, where his ears are. Add those lines in so that your viewer knows the shapes of your dog. All right, fourth grade, these dogs are going to turn out so cool. I can't wait to see what they are. Remember, ask 3 before you ask me. You are choosing one color for your dog. We'll talk about the background color next week.